Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon, Shaun, and taking some time off from your preparation time. We really appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
We have various media on the call here with you today. I'm going to introduce them by their name and by their media outlet, and you can go ahead and answer the questions. We're going to start off with Dave Biddle from 24/7 Sports.
Thank you. Hi, Shaun. What are your impressions of Clemson's wide receivers? I know you faced some of those guys last year, but some of them are relatively new. Just what are your take on their wideouts?
Clemson always got a good background of wide receivers. They got not a lot of new guys. I don't play last year, but they got guys that make plays on the perimeter. They got a great slot receiver, and they got a great quarterback. So they always have great players on their team. So we're really looking forward to that matchup against them. So.
Thank you.
Our next question will be from Brendan Gulick from Buckeyes Now.
Hi, Shaun. Congratulations on your All-American nomination here this year. I'm curious if you could maybe evaluate your play this year. Obviously, a pretty impressive distinction, but how do you feel that you've played, and do you feel that, even though you've changed positions this year, that your play was worthy of an All-American nomination?
I feel like I could always do better at the end of the day. So I always feel like I could do better, but I'm glad I got an All-American nomination. But at the end of the day, I'm not really focused on them. I'm just focused on the national championship and this game right here. So just really looking forward to that. But at the end of the day, I know I could get better, and there's things I got to work on.
We will now go to Nathan Baird from Cleveland.com.
Hey, Shaun, obviously this whole season's been about a lot of new players stepping up in the secondary and taking on bigger roles. And then now this is a sort of a different stage for a lot of those guys. It's even though they've been playing this year, this is a step up. Anything you're kind of saying to those guys, or how do you feel like it's maybe your responsibility to help lead these guys into a game like this that they've never really experienced before?
Really, a lot of them played last year in that semifinal game we played. They played in that nickel package. Josh Proctor and Marcus Hooker played in that nickel package last year with us. So they understand just the value of this game. And then a lot of them play special teams, so they understand, because special teams is very, very important in big games like this. So a lot of them understand just what this game is going to be like. And then everybody's just been getting better each game and each week. So now we've been preparing. Now we're just really looking forward to this matchup and just get what we want.
We'll now go to Tim May from Lettermen Row.
Shaun, I'll ask the question. You didn't get to play a full half last year. How much are you looking forward to this? How much does that still stick with you a little bit? What happened there? What did you learn from that incident? And like I said, how much are you looking forward to another shot at Clemson yourself?
I'm really looking forward to it. I didn't get to play a full half last year, but at the end of the day, it's a team sport. It's not a me sport. So we ended up losing last year. So it's a new year, new team, new them, new us, and new place, same date. So really just looking forward to it and just playing against them and getting to our goal. And the goal is to get a semifinal game. And now we're here. And then after that, we look for the future. So.
We'll now go to Dan Hope from 11 Warriors.
Shaun, I know that your decision to come back, getting to play in this game specifically, was a big part of that decision. Do you feel an additional pressure to really play at your best because of that?
No pressure. At the end of the day, it's a team sport. It's not a me sport. So I'm just focused on my team and the things that we need to do to get better and to win this game. So it's really no pressure. Just staying as calm and just trying to keep on burning the fire until game day, and just really looking forward to the game.
We will now go to Bill Rabinowitz from Columbus Dispatch.
Hi, Shaun. Obviously, you've gotten honored this year, and the defense's front seven has been praised pretty much. The secondary, though, is taking some criticism, and the one game that really featured a really good passer in Indiana, he threw for almost 500 yards. How ready do you guys feel you are as a secondary for this kind of challenge with Trevor Lawrence?
Oh, yeah, we're going to be ready. At the end of the day, Indiana have a great quarterback, just like Trevor Lawrence is a great quarterback. They both put ball in the right spot, right time, and everything. So both teams have great receivers, and now we just got to keep on getting better, and we've been getting better over the weeks, and just getting ready for this game. At the end of the day, it's a national championship game. It's one of the two top teams in the nation playing against each other. So at the end of the day, their O-line and our D-line is going to be even. Their receivers and our secondary is going to be even. So it just comes down to the little things.
Next question will be from Whitney Harding from NBC4.
Hey, Shaun, while you were sitting in that locker room last year and watching the game, what did you learn from that perspective of playing and then watching what happened that maybe you can take into this game this year?
Really just the little things really matter. Special team is gonna be. I really feel like this game is gonna be one of special teams and just on the defensive side is tackling. But it's really the little things really matter, and those are the things that win the game. So.
We'll now go to Clay Hall from WSYX.
Shaun, one last thing on last year in the targeting. Justin said he thought the momentum changed. And I'm not putting it on you, but that call changed momentum. And there was another big call, as you remember, in that game. But did that sway things? Did that in some way give Clemson an edge?
Definitely. I feel like it gave Clemson an edge. It did change momentum. I'm not a selfish person, but it did change momentum at the time. But at the end of the day, it's not even just that one play that changed momentum. There's a lot of plays that we could have made that we shot ourselves in the foot to lose that game. So
Now go to Zachary Brazeler from New York Post.
Shaun, how would you kind of classify this rivalry that's kind of emerged between the two schools? You guys have obviously played twice in the playoff. There's been a little back and forth with the coaches somewhat. How would you it's clearly a rivalry, right? I mean, how would you kind of characterize it?
Well, I characterize it as we never beat Clemson, so we have to be that team, and that's what we're trying to do. So in our history, our past history, we never beat them. So that's our goal, is to win this game and just go from there.
Next up is Phil Harrison from Buckeyes Wire.
Hey, Shaun, it's kind of amazing how things worked out. I know you came back for another shot to, get to the college football playoff again, but also you get a chance to play Clemson yet again. Mm-hmm. So redemption's kind of right there based on last year. And I know the entire team that's kind of what they were looking forward to. Do you get a sense that in preparation for this game, do you get a sense that the team is a little bit more focused? Not that you don't focus for every game, but it's a little bit more focused, a little bit more added pressure in practices and things like that is leading up to this game?
I agree. Everybody that's playing now has something to do with last year's game, so that everybody just have that taste in their mouth and they understand what's at stake. So everybody's just laser focused and just really worried about this game, and then just trying to take it from there. But this game is very important to everybody, and we definitely want to win. So
we'll now go to Patrick Murphy from 24/7 Sports.
Shaun, in a normal year, I feel like we'd have a better sense of Seven and what he is as a player, but we've only seen him in 6 games. Not a lot of teams have thrown a ton on you guys. So paint the picture for me. What is Seven? How ready is he for this moment? What kind of player are we going to see on Friday?
Oh yeah, Seven's gonna be just watch. He's gonna make some plays, and Seven is just a great player, very athletic. He's really different in his size. I mean, 200 pounds, being able to run like that, and very very strong. So he's very very different as a DB. But Seven, he's definitely gonna make plays, and he's just gonna do his thing. He's been laser focused, and I've been talking to him and just keeping his focus and just trying to help him out on different things. But Seven, you're gonna see Seven. He's gonna do some things.
Next up is Stephen Means from Cleveland.com.
Hey, Shaun, you guys don't typically follow receivers around at Ohio State, but that's something to do at the NFL level, like we were trying to get to, and your coach just came from the NFL. And kind of given the personnel, that wide receiver room, and your experience both inside and outside, has that been a conversation at all with you and Coach Coombs? And is that something that you would be in favor of doing?
No, it haven't been a conversation. So.
Okay.
We'll go to Austin Ward from Lettermen Row for our final question.
Shaun, you guys had to scramble a little bit at safety 2 weeks ago, and Josh really kind of stepped up there. Where have you seen Proctor grow the most this year, and how impressed were you with what he gave you guys against Northwestern?
From last year to this year is development of learning the game. I feel like Josh and Hook, just the development of learning the game and just getting better. At the end of the day, we all have, in that secondary room, we all have something to work on, and we've been working on it. So now we just got to showcase it in this game. But for Josh, he's an athlete. He can play all 5 positions, in my opinion. And that's just how it is.
Thank you very much for the time, Shaun. We'll let you get back to preparation now. And once again, we really appreciate you taking the time this afternoon.
All right, thank y'all too.
We'll have Haskell Garrett up next.
Good afternoon, Haskell. How are you today?
I'm doing good.
Well, we appreciate you taking the time today. We're going to I'll introduce media to you by their name and media outlet, and they'll be asking you some questions. We're going to start off with Bill Rabinowitz from Columbus Dispatch.
Hi, Haskell. How are you?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Good, good. Congratulations on your All-American honor, first of all. So that's part of the question. How do you feel about that? And second, I want to ask you about Tommy Togiai, his progress, and just how dominating has he been? What's been the biggest area of growth that you've seen in him? Everyone knows how strong he is, but what else has he shown you this year?
Tommy's a great player. Just including like me, we played behind great players, and his growth is just his knowledge of the game, and just like you're not guessing on what's coming. He's in the film room, he's doing the extra work, writing stuff down, taking great notes, and paying attention in the meeting room and in the classroom, and applying it on the field. So I think that's one of the greatest things that he's improved on this year, and just more reps and becoming that leader in the room.
And Bill had asked, how do you feel about your All-American honor for yourself as well?
I'm really honored. It's not just me out there, it's a group of guys, and it's not just only my honor, but it's theirs too. My success is their success, and we share our success, and so those guys are my success, and I'm really honored, but I'm more focused on this game and winning this game.
Next question will be Spencer Holbrook from Lettermen Row.
His vision, his ability to see an open gap and hit it, his ability to run downhill, and he's a downhill runner. He's a very hard runner, and he's fast. And so we got a great challenge in front of us, and it's going to be a good game.
Next up will be Tony Gerdeman from Buckeye Scoop.
Well, given what happened to you earlier in the year, when you were just thinking about trying to get back to football, now you are named an All-American, and I realize you just wanted to talk about your team, but can you appreciate what you've done in the moment? Like, can you see yourself and appreciate what you've been able to do?
I can, but like I said, I'm trying to stay in the moment. I can celebrate all the accolades and everything that I've accomplished myself after the season, but I'm more worried about this team that we're playing and the game we got coming up on Friday.
Got it.
We'll now go to Brendan Gulick from Buckeyes Now.
Hi, Haskell. It's kind of funny how this whole thing has come full circle back to Clemson again, almost exactly 1 year later, considering all of the things the last 12 months that have gone counterintuitive. Is the fact that there really isn't a lot of time between the Big Ten championship and the college football playoff semifinal, the fact that it's much shorter than normal, do you think that helps you guys stay focused on, prepping for the game rather than thinking about the big picture and having such a long lead up and all the different things that come along with that?
Yeah, it's a lot shorter time, quicker turnaround to a bowl game, but I think it'll help us. We're more focused on this game, and it's not a long period of waiting for the buildup, waiting and constant practicing. We're just getting on it and going now instead of usually having a whole month of preparation. It's now. It's like something you would handle in the regular season. So I like it, to be so honest with you.
Next up is Dan Hope from 11 Warriors.
Hey, Haskell, you weren't one of the players who was in the virtual senior day. Have you made a decision on whether you're going to be back at Ohio State next year?
No, I haven't. I'm still debating that, and that's again something that I have to go over with myself and my family after the season. I'm just trying to stay in the moment and stay focused so I can contribute as much as I can to the team.
We'll now go to Tim May from Lettermen Row.
Haskell, there's no question. One of the plays that got Clemson back into that game last year was Trevor Lawrence right up the middle and then swerving out left and scoring on a touchdown. How much is that on y'all's mind from the standpoint of his ability to run, and how much would that kind of play into you guys having to be a little bit cautious coming through A and B gaps to make sure you don't overrun him, if you follow my drift?
Mm-hmm. We just got to play our game. All season, we've, really stopped the run, and we've prided ourselves on it. And I feel that, if we just play our game and play to our abilities and make sure we all do our jobs, stuff like that won't happen.
We'll go to Patrick Murphy from 24/7 Sports.
Haskell, I know you just said you hadn't made your mind up about coming back or not, but the chance to play a major role as a senior in a college football playoff game with potentially going on to compete for a national championship, what would that mean for you, taking into account everything that's happened, your 4 years here, all that? What would that mean to you to get through this game and play for a national title?
It would mean a lot. I feel like every kid as they're growing up is to play in a national title, let alone go to college at a D1 school. So I think for me, it'll be a blessing and an honor, and everything that I dreamed about as a kid and worked for leading up to this point, it would mean the world to me.
Next up is Whitney Harding from NBC4.
Hey, Haskell, I know we talked already about Trevor Lawrence's ability to run. At the same time, how important is it to get pressure on him while balancing that possibility he can take off? How big a good challenge is that for you guys?
It's going to be a big challenge, especially, he's a dynamic quarterback. Usually dudes who are that tall and that big, they don't really run, but like we know, the game is changing. And, these quarterbacks are becoming dual threats. He can do it on air and he can do it on the ground. So just being cautious of where he's at and what he's doing. He's a great player, and we're going to need to, be aware that he can extend plays. And if a play is broken down and there's good coverage, he's going to want to do it on his feet. And so we just got to be aware and be cautious of where he's at all times.
We'll now go to Sean Dunigan from WBNS.
Hey, Haskell, is there anything that Clemson does differently up front on their offensive line that you don't see often in the Big Ten?
No, I feel like, they're a great group. They gel together and they get the job done. They make sure that they do their job and they do it very well. And that's why they have so much success. And I know that there's young guys that have stepped up, and that just shows the leadership in the room. And so I think that, there's nothing that they do different than anybody else. I just think that they play, great football, and they're very assignment sound.
And our final question will come from Austin Ward from Lettermen Row.
Haskell, when you look at the way you've elevated your game this year, is there something that you can point to that's helped fuel that? What are you doing differently, than maybe those first 3 years?
The first 3 years, it was really being humble and being a sponge in the room, gathering all the knowledge from all the guys. Like I've told you throughout the season, there's great athletes ahead of me, great D tackles and great DNs. And when you're in a room full of talent, sometimes some talent gets passed up. But for me, it was really just seizing the opportunity, knowing that those 3 years playing behind those guys prepared me for this moment. And I feel like the only thing that I can really say that I've enhanced this year is really my knowledge of the game, knowing the whole defense in its entirety, and knowing, who's behind me and what coverage we're in, so that I can play fast and anticipate instead of react.
Thank you very much for your time this afternoon. We'll let you get back to your preparations for the game and look forward to seeing you in New Orleans in a few days.
Thank you.
Alrighty, we'll continue today with defensive tackle Tommy Togiai.
Good afternoon, Tommy. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Appreciate you.
What we're going to do, I'll have a series of questions for you. I'm going to introduce the reporter as well as the media outlet, and they'll ask the questions. So we'll start with Dave Biddle from 24/7 Sports.
Thank you. Hi, Tommy. What are your impressions of Clemson's offensive line? I know they just have one returning starter from last year, Jackson Carman, a young man from Ohio. As you watch them on film, what jumps out about their O-line?
I mean, I think they're a good collective unit. I mean, they work together really well, and they have opened up gaps for ETN to hit and make plays off of. So I think they really work well together as a collective unit, opening up gaps so he can make plays off of.
Thank you.
We'll go to Bill Rabinowitz from Columbus Dispatch.
Hi, Tommy. Ever since you got here, everyone's always talked about your strength. I want to ask you, what is different about you this year, other than just your raw strength, that's enabled you to have that kind of breakthrough that you've had?
I think during that, over quarantine, I really try to work on trying to get faster and gain some more speed, and then along with getting better at my technique that Coach Jay's been teaching, just been working on my craft over that time, and I think that's really helped me this season, and I think it's shown on the field as well.
Next, we'll go to Rod Walker from the New Orleans Advocate.
Hey, Tommy, how much of an influence did Taysom Hill have on you since you went to the same high school with him? And the second part of that question is, how does a guy from Idaho end up at Ohio State?
So, I mean, Taysom Hill, I only talked to him maybe a few times, but I mean, he's a great dude. And I mean, just one of the guys looked up to, because he's the one that, kind of made it out of Idaho and then to the NFL, to where the position he's at now. It's like just an inspiration. So, I mean, just having that was cool. And then being from Idaho to end up at Ohio State was just, Coach Jay kind of recruited me, so he found me just going through film, and he saw my film, so he jumped out, and then just starting that relationship with him, and then that's how I ended up here.
Next, we'll go to Brendan Gulick from Buckeyes Now.
Hey, Tommy, can you talk about the challenge of going against a quarterback that certainly is not a run-first quarterback, but if you break contain on a pass rush, he's shown an ability to really hurt you. What are the challenges unique to trying to defend against a guy like that?
Yeah, he's a dynamic player. He's faster than he seems, and he can really throw the ball really well. So, we just have to be cautious of our rush lanes and really try to contain him as much as we can. So just kind of control our rush lanes and be cautious of where he's going to step up to or where he's going to try to flush out to.
We'll now go to Tim May from Lettermen Row.
It seems like you and Haskell especially, I know you're going to name every other defensive tackle when I ask this question, but it seems like you two guys especially have enjoyed playing with each other this year as this season has progressed side by side. Just what have you seen, especially out of him, that's just blossomed this year from your vantage point?
I think his leadership and then his just love for the game has really grown this year. I know we both had a little wait for our playing time to kind of get there for this year. And I think we just kind of both blossomed into this year, kind of enjoying seeing each other make plays and stuff. And as long as everybody else on the D-line as well, seeing just all of us as a unit just trying to make plays and play for one another has been really big this year.
Next, we'll go to Tony Gerdeman from Buckeye Scoop.
Tommy, Haskell wasn't too interested in talking about himself, so I'll ask you to do it. Given everything he's been through this year and getting that All-American nod, what have you thought about just the entire journey that he's made this year?
It's just amazing to see what he's gone through, especially just this year, and past years, not having maybe the playing time he wanted to in his first couple of years, but then this year, all the adversity that he's faced to what he's doing now has just been amazing to watch. And I'm so happy that I get to play with him and so happy for what he's accomplished. And it's just huge. I'm just really happy for him.
We'll go to Dan Hope from 11 Warriors.
Hey, Tommy, what do you think has been the key to your guys' running game success, and what do you think you have to do to continue that success against Clemson's running offense?
I mean, I think everyone just got to do their job. I mean, as long as everyone does their job, I think we've done a pretty good job so far this year against the run. So, I mean, as long as we just got to keep doing what we're supposed to do, and that will show on the field.
We have time for one more question for Tommy, if there is one. And we will go to Clay Hall from WSYX.
Hey, Tommy, I apologize. I've been in and out. How important is it, or can you get pressure on Trevor Lawrence? How important is it to affect him in some way?
I mean, I think it's going to be big if we can, as a D-line, get some pressure when it's going to be passes, especially like when we know it's going to be a pass. So I think our biggest thing is just going to be able to contain him in the pocket and then, just like you say, apply the pressure. And I think that'll help us a long way.
Thank you very much for the time, Tommy. We really appreciate it. Good luck with the rest of your preparations.
Thank you.
We'll continue here with linebacker Pete Werner.
Good afternoon, Pete. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Yep, of course.
I'm going to introduce the media by their name and media outlet, and they'll give you the questions. We're going to start off with Stephen Means from Cleveland.com.
Hey, Pete, now that you've moved to will linebacker, when you watch Travis Etienne on film and what you know from last season, is he more dangerous to a defense as a pass catcher out of the backfield or as a runner between the tackles?
Yeah, the thing to mention about him is he's so versatile with ways he can attack you on defense, and he can run the ball very well. And it's shown when defenses have gotten lazy and gotten out of their gaps, and he'll expose them, and as well as he can catch the ball on a screen and go a long way. So he's very versatile, and he can beat defenses whether he's running the ball or passing the ball. They're both threats, and obviously very important. Working them both have come up on film.
Next will be Bill Rabinowitz from Columbus Dispatch.
Hi, Pete. You have a pretty good view of what Tommy Togiai has done this year. From your perspective, what has been his biggest area of improvement, and what has he meant to your defense?
Yeah, not just Tommy, but Haskell. Those guys in the middle, they're fighters. They're guys that have spent so much in the offseason gaining strength, speed, knowledge of the game, and one of the biggest things I think of is confidence. He's understanding his role on the defense and how big it is, and him stepping up to the plate and doing what he's been doing is not. I mean, that's what you ask for a 3 tech, for 1 tech on Ohio State's defense. But he's really stepped to the plate, and it shows from his confidence on the field. He's one of the smartest guys on their defense, and it really shows, as well as being very athletic in that interior spot.
Next will be Tim May from Lettermen Row.
Yeah, Pete, indulge me here. How difficult is it when you're playing against a quarterback like Trevor Lawrence to, when he does make a sort of a move, to not rush to the scene of the fire, but to stay, as the old saying goes, to stay sound, to stay in your gap responsibility, et cetera, because I would think there's an eagerness for everyone to make sure he doesn't make that big difference in the game, on Friday night. But how difficult does a guy like that make it? Because obviously he can make a cut and go the distance, as you guys found out last year.
Yeah, so from last year, we've obviously learned that big plays, giving up big plays were the key. Some of the keys where we lost that game. It is very difficult when you have a dual threat quarterback like Trevor. He's very, very good. He can scramble. He can throw the ball very well. That just makes it very, very tough, but a great challenge on this defense. We just got to, again, go out and show it. But I credit the kid. He can do a lot of things, but we just got to stay focused, disciplined as a defense, and not be overly aggressive, I guess.
Next is Dave Biddle from 24/7 Sports.
Thank you. Pete, you do so many things for this defense, and you're a 3-year starter. You've seen a little bit of everything during your career. How would you describe the evolution of your game personally? Is this kind of what you expected when you came to Ohio State?
No, I had no idea what I was going to expect. I feel like that's the same for a lot of guys that come in here. You just try to find that role, and then once you get into that role, you just kind of move on from there. I feel like evolution coming in as a special teams guy, and then working my way up to a starter, and then being one of those starters that can really lead the defense and be one of those leaders of the team that other guys on the field can count on. If they got a problem, they come to me. Just my knowledge of the game has increased, and I credit the coaches for that.
Thank you.
Next up is Nathan Baird from Cleveland.com.
Pete, you mentioned the versatility that Travis Etienne has, but that's the same way that Clemson talks about your linebacker group, kind of the versatility that all you guys have. Is this sort of the matchup that you guys have been sort of building towards since last year? Like you moving over, Barron moving over, was it to kind of set up for to face off against an athlete like Etienne?
I mean, maybe. I don't know. It wasn't my decision. It was the coach's decision, and I kind of just did what they told me to do. This might be their plan, I guess. But then we're going to see. I think our versatility matches up with their versatility. I think it's going to be a great matchup. I'm just looking forward to it.
We'll now go to Joey Kaufman from the Columbus Dispatch.
Pete, what has Ryan Day been like throughout this whole season as a leadership perspective for you guys, going back from August to the restart in September to the restart, stop, cancellations of the last month? How has he been like as a coach, kind of leading you out through a season like this?
Yeah, he's been for the players first. We talk about so many obstacles getting in our way. Adversity is what he's challenging us with. He's just a guy that is always going to be there for you. He asks the players consistently what he needs of them and what we can do for him. He's just a guy that you want to be next to. You want to be surrounded by his leadership through times like this, and to be able to make it to a playoff, credit him and his leadership.
Our final question will come from Patrick Murphy with 24/7 Sports.
Pete, to piggyback off of Nathan's question about with the around this year, how do you expect your game to be like in comparison to what it was last year? You expect it to be different in terms of where you will be and what you'll be matching up with?
Without going into any scheme, we're going to have incomes, how matchups look. But obviously it's going to be a little bit different considering I'm a different position. But in any scheme like that. But yeah, matchups will look a little different.
Thank you very much for your time, Pete. We really appreciate it. I know it's a busy time for you, so good luck in the rest of your preparations.
Yep. Thank you.
All righty, we'll continue today with senior defensive end Jonathon Cooper.
Welcome, Jonathan. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
I will be introducing the media members by name and media outlet, and then they'll follow up with a question for you. We're going to start with Dan Hope from 11 Warriors.
Jonathan, this is your third time being in a game now with Ohio State playing Clemson. Just how much more incentive does that give for you to just want to finally get over this hump?
It means a lot, obviously, prepare for this. Whenever you go into the college football playoffs, obviously my freshman year, didn't really see the field too much, and obviously last year I was out and I couldn't play in this game. So I feel like just for me personally, being able to have an impact like I do on the team and being healthy means the most.
Next up is Bill Rabinowitz from Columbus Dispatch.
Hi, Jonathan. Obviously, there have been so many ups and downs this year. When you look back at what you've been through this year, your decision to come back, I'm assuming you have no regrets. You're happy you did it, but just kind of sum up what this year has meant to you.
Honestly, it's meant everything. I like you said, no regrets to the fact that I came back. I'm really happy that I made that decision. Obviously, this year hasn't gone exactly the way it's planned, just with like COVID and games cancellations and missing out on some things. But honestly, I mean, I'm just so grateful for the fact of just even having a chance to go out there and play with my brothers and to represent Ohio State. And I mean, I couldn't ask for more.
Next up is Phil Harrison from Buckeyes Wire.
Hey, Jonathan, lost in a lot of this redemption here for, getting back to the college football playoff and getting a chance to play Clemson again. This is Ryan Day's only loss, the one loss against Clemson last year. And we all have seen how intense he can be at times. You get a sense that this week means a little bit more to him based on how things ended last year and based on some of the back and forth in the media with some of the coaches and things?
I feel like just with Coach Day, every game he approaches the same, with the same intensity and with the same mindset that we have to win. I feel like any coach or anybody, no matter what team you're going up against, your whole goal is to win and to play your best with your team and get your team ready to go do that. And I feel like Coach Day and his leadership has done an amazing job to do that for us.
We'll now go to Nathan Baird from Cleveland.com.
Jonathan, Pete Werner had some big shoes to fill moving over from Sam to take over from Malik this year. Just what have you seen from him, I guess, either on the field or when you're watching film that's kind of maybe where has he put his stamp on this defense the most by that position switch?
Yeah, Pete's an amazing player. Obviously, you guys have seen that. I feel like his biggest thing that he stepped up in is his leadership. He's definitely been a guy that people can go to and the young guys can go to and rely on to answer any questions or anything that might be needed. He's definitely just stepped up for our team in a big way, regardless of just playing his best football this year, but being a leader for us, someone that we can rely on.
We'll now go to Tim May from Lettermen Row.
Jonathan, this is a bowl trip. You guys are going to New Orleans, but the way it's laid out, you might as well be going to Iowa City. You know what I mean? Is that taken away at all from the postseason hoopla or whatever? I mean, the fact that you guys are only going to be there for like a basically 30-hour period, or is that just part of the world 2020?
Like you said, I feel like it is just a part of the world right now, just with everything going on. But I think the players would have loved to go down to New Orleans and actually experience the city and the place and me personally, the food. I wanted to try some of the seafood down there. But, I mean, all in all, we're there to go win a football game. We're there to go play for people and play for the CFP. And, it's all business, and I don't feel like that's taken away from anything else.
We'll now go to Sean Dunigan from WBNS TV.
Hey, Jonathan, do you guys look at all at the last 3 games that you have against Clemson last year and the 31-0 shutout and the 40-35 game in the Orange Bowl? Do you look at any of those game tapes or talk about any of those games since Ohio State hasn't beaten Clemson?
We like to obviously we know the history and everything between Ohio State and Clemson, and we go back and obviously we reflect on everything. You go back and you watch the film and you see how you can get better. And I feel like that's how you approach really anybody. You go back and you look at the teams that you played. If you have somebody that you played before and you look at the tape and you see where you messed up at and you see where you can get better at it. And then you have to go out there and execute.
Now go to Brendan Gulick from Buckeyes Now.
Jonathan, when the season was announced that it was coming back, you were a little emotional telling us about your conversation with your mom. I know that maybe this wasn't quite as dramatic because there was some level of expectation you'd get in the field, but certainly meaningful. Are you willing to tell us at all about what your conversation with her might have been like this time around?
When I first figured out that the season was coming back on.
No.
When
Sorry, hold on. He needs to unmute. I just muted you, Brendan. My apologies.
That's okay. No, you had told us a little bit about your conversation when the season came back. I'm curious about your conversation, when you found out you were in the playoff for sure, and now you're back on this ultimate stage.
Yeah, it was emotional, obviously. Just another chance to play, honestly, and go out there and make my family proud. It means a lot to me and my family. I just go out there and my season the right way. I don't know. I couldn't be happier. Our conversation is kind of like happiness and just ready to go get it. It's time to work even harder.
Next, we'll go to Joey Kaufman from Columbus Dispatch.
Jonathon, how do you think Ryan Day has done well in terms of kind of leading you guys through sort of all the craziness of this season? What has he done that's been effective for you guys with all the uncertainty and a lot of the extra stuff of this year?
Right. Coach Day has been amazing throughout all of this. I couldn't ask him to do anything more. He's been a tremendous leader to all of us and just talking to us, guiding us, and making us stay strong and together as a unit, honestly. Our key word is fight. And with all the challenges that we had to face this year and overcome them, we just had to fight and keep pushing through them. And I feel like with Coach Day at the front of our team and being that leader, he's done a spectacular job.
Next will be Patrick Murphy from 24/7 Sports.
Jonathon, you guys have talked in the past in big games about wanting to dominate as the defensive line. You did that to some degree last year. I know you weren't a part of it, but how big will that be in this game to winning or losing, how the defensive line plays against Clemson's offensive line?
I feel like it's just as big as any game. Defensive lines, I feel like, are the key to winning the game. Defensive line, offensive line, it's where everything starts. And obviously we have to play extremely well and play our best game. We want to do that every single week. And this week is no different. We just have to play to the ability that we're capable of.
Our final question will come from Austin Ward with Lettermen Row.
Coop, Berm wanted me to ask if you and Justin Hilliard are going to use another loophole to come back for years 6 and 7.
Yeah. Hey, Justin, you want to come back another year? Huh? No, probably not going to come back. Yeah. I mean, unless he does, I'll come back.
Berm's desperate. He just wants you two to hang around.
I'm sure he is.
Thank you very much for your time this afternoon, Jonathon. We really appreciate it. And good luck with your rest of your preparations. We look forward to seeing you down here in New Orleans.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate it.
All righty. We'll wrap up our players today with the aforementioned Justin Hilliard.
Good afternoon, Justin. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you.
I'm going to introduce the media members by their name and their media outlet, and they will ask you some questions. We'll start with Bill Rabinowitz from Columbus Dispatch.
Hi, Justin. We talked this morning to Matt Bockhorst, who had nice things to say about you. What do you remember about him and just your thoughts on playing a former teammate and, that whole thing?
Yeah, I think that's actually my third former team I get to play this year or years past. But, yeah, me and Matt go way back. I remember when I was, I think, a junior or senior, he came in as a young guy. And he was probably one of the most memorable, just naturally just crazy teammates I played with. Just he's a guy that loves contact, which is my type of guy. And, I'm excited. I'm excited to get to play him. Yeah, it's going to be fun. I'm sure a lot of words will be said, but it'll be fun, man.
We'll now go to Dave Biddle from 24/7 Sports.
Thank you. Justin, facing a guy like Trevor Lawrence again, is it a situation like is your mindset and the defense's mindset, he's going to make his share of plays, we just have to limit the really big plays? Just what's your mindset facing a guy like Lawrence?
I would say the overall mindset is just Coach Combs is one of the most influential coaches I've had. He has a saying, the team that wins usually is the team that runs to the ball the hardest and hits the hardest. So, I mean, that's going to be our motto the whole game is if we get 11 guys running to the ball every single play and 11 guys trying to make contact and create plays when they get to the ball, then I think we'll be all right.
Thank you.
Next will be Dan Hope from 11 Warriors.
Hey, Justin, this is, the third time you've been on the team for a game against Clemson. And, Jonathon was talking about, him finally getting to play a big role in this game. Do you kind of feel the same way about, you get to play Clemson and this time you finally get to really be a big part of it?
Yeah, I would say it's a little different this year just because me and John both have bigger roles. We got to step up as leaders this year. I know in years past we were we had a little bit less of a role, but obviously this year being as leaders and some of the guys who have been there for the previous games we played against Clemson, we have a lot of knowledge on this game and what it takes or what it will take to win this game and what we have to do different. So yeah, it's exciting to have this new bigger role, but we're excited for it.
We'll now go to Tim May from Lettermen Row.
Following along that same line, Justin, we were talking about Trey Sermon finally getting a bunch of carries, and suddenly he got in a stride, in a rhythm, and it showed. And I'm just wondering, from your vantage point, it certainly seems like the last couple of games, especially, you've gotten into that same kind of rhythm or stride, playing linebackers. It felt that way to you, and is there even more to come in that sense from you? Yeah,
I would say most definitely. It's a lot of times it's when you're out there, you just need to make that first hit, that first play. I was actually watching Chris Farley, that video of his entrance or whatever, where he goes crazy, gets the crowd going and everything. He says he does that just to get the nerves out and just to get his feet wet. I would say the same thing with football, man. It's when you're out there, you're just looking to make that first big play, and then once you make that first big play, man, it's just you're in the flow. Everything becomes easy.
Thanks, man.
Next up is Nathan Baird from Cleveland.com.
Justin, the move that Pete Werner made this year over to Will, I mean, obviously he was starting on the other side where you are in this game last year, but just how has he impacted the defense most with what he's done making that move over to Will?
Oh yeah, Pete's a beast. Pete's an absolute great player. One of the guys who's always running to the football. If you turn on the tape, anytime you watch Pete, he's going to be running to the ball. And we've grown to expect that from him. So he's definitely a huge part of our defense, huge part of our team. And I'm excited to see what he does Friday.
We'll now go to Patrick Murphy from 24/7 Sports.
Justin, in last year's game, the defense was able to contain Travis Etienne, at least from a rushing standpoint, but he was still able to get out and make some big plays in the pass game. How aware and how much conversation has there been of that, and knowing that to have success, you need to be able to shut a guy like that down in both facets?
Yeah, I mean, that's been a focus for sure. I think every week our defense is built around stopping big plays, and sometimes we've let that fall this year. And I think that's obviously been a big focal point of this week is just limiting all those big plays. And with a guy like that, it can be tough, but we're up for the challenge.
We have time for another question here if there's somebody with one. He almost got away. We have Spencer Holbrook from Lettermen Row, please.
I don't see it as an advantage. I think maybe more mentally than physically, knowing what it takes as far as preparation going in this game and learning from things that we didn't do right in the past. I think that'll serve as an advantage. But I don't think it gives us an advantage over any team just because we played them. But I know older guys that have played in those previous games, like me, John, ton of guys have learned so much from those games and what we did wrong in those games and preparation and things like that. And we're doing everything we can this time around to change that.
Thank you very much for the time, Justin. We really appreciate it in a busy time, but good luck in the rest of your preparation.
Thanks, guys.
We will have Kerry Coombs shortly. Some notes for you all. You should be receiving all of my emails from our media distribution list. If you're not and you'd like to receive them, you just have to contact me. Send me an email at johns@sugarbowl.org. And I will let you guys know via that anything else that's going on, specifically the information for downloading the airport arrival interview and the airport arrival B-roll, which we'll have tomorrow from Clemson. The Ohio State material will also be available on Thursday. I got to get the days of my week straight. But we'll be sending all that info out to you tonight. So if you have questions, reach out at any time. We'll be back in a few minutes once we get Coach. Good afternoon, Coach.
How you doing, guys?
Can you hear me all right?
Take it off. I can hear you guys just fine. Told me to take my mask off. I better not get the COVID. I've avoided it so far. So
I've been tested. I don't know about these other guys.
I've been tested every single day. I have nothing left in the interior of my nose.
If you'd like to make a brief opening statement, you can, or we could just go straight to questions. Which would you prefer?
We can go. I don't know. I wouldn't know what I'd say.
All right, fair enough. We're going to start off with Austin Ward from Lettermen Row.
Kerry.
Hi, Austin.
Hey, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
It seemed like a little bit of a scramble at safety before the Big Ten title game. We saw, that Marcus was a game time decision. We didn't know about Ronnie until a little before kickoff. How much did that scramble the plans for you guys at safety? And I know there's a limit to what you'll say ahead of Friday, but how much closer to full strength do you think you guys will be there?
Yeah, well, it was a big scramble, and we had 3 healthy safeties, ready to play in the game. And so there was, that was significant. And the kids did a really nice job. That's the COVID environment, right? Of adapting and overcoming and accommodating. And we would certainly like to be much closer to full strength on Friday.
Next question will come from Stephen Means with Cleveland.com.
Hey, Coach.
Hi, Stephen.
How you doing?
Great.
All right. When you look at Clemson and how they kind of use their wide receivers specifically, it's mirrors a little bit to how you guys use Haskell Garrett, where it's an outside guy and a slot guy who get the majority of the touches. When you guys do go good on good, how much does going against those 2 guys and the way they use them maybe prepare you for what you're going to see on Friday?
Oh, I think that's a great question. I think every day that we get to go good on good is a good day for us, because those are some of the best wide receivers in the country in our facility. And these guys that we're playing are just like them. And so the ability to compete against great skill day in and day out is critical when you're trying to get ready to play a team like this.
We'll now go to Tim May with Lettermen Row.
Hi, Kerry. Merry Christmas again. By the way, as you look at Trevor Lawrence, what is the most outstanding thing he does? And I know that's like, out of 20, whatever, but what is the one thing that you think just sets him apart? Like Urban Meyer was telling me, the thing that's really interesting is he's a great runner, but he's really fast too. And you don't necessarily see both of those when you just watch it on video, but just what's your take?
Yeah, to Urban's point, he's deceptively fast, and you'll see when players have angles on him, and he outruns the angle. I think that the thing that he does so many things very, very well. It's one of the, I would say it's arguably one of the great college football quarterbacks of all time, based on his production and winning games. He is a play extender, and he does a great job of avoiding rush, sidestepping rush, getting outside the pocket, running the ball, or extending the play and throwing the ball. And he makes very, very, very few poor decisions. I think he does a great job with his pre-snap recognition. He's got a plan in mind when he catches the snap, But when the plan is altered, he does a great job of adapting to that.
Next will be Bill Landis with The Athletic.
Hi, Bill.
Hey, Kerry, how are you?
Great, thanks.
Hey, so this matchup is becoming more and more common on the field, but off the field as well. You guys recruit against Clemson a lot, and I think that became a little more common maybe in the 2 years you weren't here, but certainly it's ramped up now. Just what's it like recruiting, I guess, similar guys as Clemson? And you have a guy in this class that you just signed, Jordan Hancock, who was committed there. What was it like recruiting Jordan when he was committed to another program?
Yeah, well, we had recruited Jordan very hard and had felt very good about him, and then he made the decision to commit to them, and I respected that. I respect that decision. But we had developed a pretty decent relationship. I think they're great recruiters. I think they do a phenomenal job when they have kids on their campus. That's always a battle, and you know that when kids are going there to visit. I do think we both identify the same players from the same parts of the country, and so you're going to battle when you go to recruit against the best teams in the country, and they're good at what they do. It's going to be like that, and Jordan was a perfect example of that. And the kids there are kids. The elite players have some really good choices, and those kids and those schools they're all battling for those guys.
Next up is Bill Rabinowitz from Columbus Dispatch.
Hi, Kerry. How are you?
Hi, Bill.
I want to ask you about Tommy Togiai and the impact that he's had on your defense. That position is kind of a thankless one, but it's so important. What kind of a jump has he taken, and how important has he been to the defense?
Well, I wasn't here last year, so I can't tell you speak clearly to the jump. I can tell you that we have had players like that. BB Landers was like that. He's such an active force in the interior of the defense. Now, they're two different players. BB was quick as a cat. Tommy's strong as an ox. But the thing that Tommy does is he hustles so hard, day in and day out, at practice, in the games. He just is relentless. And that's what I feel like he does in the middle of the defense. He's just a relentless force. And if you don't stay on him, he's going to find himself at the ball. And he's really, between the interior defensive linemen have just really done a really, really good job this year.
Thanks. We'll now go to Tony Gerdeman from Buckeye Scoop.
Hey, how you doing?
Great. How are you, Tony?
Good. I want to ask you about the other guy on the interior. Have you ever seen anything like what Haskell Garrett has been through this year, and what's it been like for you to watch it as a coach?
Yeah, not in my experience. I wish, and I'm glad, to be honest with you. I hope I never see it again. But for somebody to be where he was in August to where he is in December is a miracle. And I've said that before, and I believe it. And it just continues to be reproven every time he takes the field. He's very serious about what he does. I think he feels like, and he'd have to tell you, but I think he feels like he's got a new lease on life. I can tell you that my interactions with him became more positive, more upbeat, happier, more hugging, more of all those kind of things. And so for whatever it is that caused that or sparked that in him, I mean, he is playing really, really well, really hard, and he was a good technician. And Larry does such a great job with those guys, but he's eating it up, and he wants to be, he just wants to be great. And I just love being around him.
We'll now go to Steve Hellwagon from Bucknuts.
Hey, Coach.
Hi,
congratulations on the success this season and
Thanks.
get there. My question, I don't know how much you've gone back and watched the tape of this game. You weren't there, obviously, a year ago. But Ohio State did a great job of containing ATN, running the football, and a really good job with Lawrence and his wide receivers and tight ends. Where they beat Ohio State was the quarterback run and the screen game to ATN, 3 touchdowns, long touchdowns out of those plays. I know it's all part of everything, and you got to stop everything, but how do you stop all 4 of those things in a game like this? And how aware do your guys have to be about all the different ways they can attack you?
Yeah, it's a great question. I don't think anybody stops them. I think you want to try to slow them down. You want to try to contain them. You want to try to make you want to try to eliminate those big plays. They do it to everybody. Their explosive tape is the longest tape that you've ever seen. I think the running back is a fantastic player in every phase of the game. He runs the ball inside. He runs the ball outside. He catches the ball out of the backfield. He catches the ball on the perimeter. I think he's dynamic. Obviously, the quarterback run, which shows up at this time of year, is important to their success. And that's what winning teams do. They have a formula. They've got talent across the board, from the numbers to the numbers. And so if you went into a game and said, well, we're going to take this one thing away, they have plenty to beat you somewhere else. And so you have to prepare for all of it, and you have to play. You have to play a great game for 4 quarters in order to have a chance at the end.
Thanks.
Next up will be Jacob Beng from Buckeye Grove.
Hey, Kerry, how are you?
Hi, Jacob. Great, thanks.
Going back to the interior on the defensive line, have you seen an extra pep in the step of Jonathon Cooper now that he finally gets to play Clemson?
I think I can tell you this, and the remarkable thing is to just watch how these kids have managed and handled everything. But Coop is a flat-out leader, and I was talking to him. We had kind of a walkthrough practice the day after Christmas, and Coop says, "Coach, we need to wear cleats. He was just, and he was right, and we did. And you just love that kind of leadership. He's all in. He's pushed his chips into the middle of the pile for this game, and I think we'll see Coop's best effort.
Next, we'll go to Zachary Braziler from New York Post.
Coach, with Shaun, we all know Shaun could only play a half last year. I know you weren't, there last year, but could you just sense how motivated he is for this game?
Well, in many ways, I think the way that game finished, or a big part of the reason that Shaun came back, and Shaun's passionate about winning, and he felt, I'm not going to say he felt responsible, but he felt, shortchanged or whatever. I don't know what the right word is, Zachary, to be honest with you, but and he's been motivated all year, and he's a great leader. But he's, this game obviously means a lot to him. He's prepared extremely well. He wants to go out and have a good performance. He wants to help his team win, and that's the main thing. But there's no question that coming off the field at halftime or before the halftime last year was very, very hard for him.
Next, we'll go to Nathan Baird with Cleveland.com.
Hey, Kerry, you and how you doing? You and other people have been talking about Etienne's versatility. When we talk to Clemson, they talk about your linebackers' versatility. I'm just curious, when you guys moved those guys to the positions that they're in this year, was it a matchup like this that was kind of in mind? And how does this alignment of linebackers and the versatility that you guys have maybe help you match up against Etienne?
Well, I think when you're going to play teams like this, and it's a great question, I think when you're going to play teams like this, you got to have speed on the field, and you got to figure out a way to get fast guys out there playing in the right areas. And for us, moving Pete, getting Barron on the field in a different capacity, having a kid like Justin Hilliard who can play all the spots, and then that anchor in the middle, Tough Borland. I just think that versatility gives us. It certainly gave us a great chance when guys were out because of COVID, but it gives us flexibility. And I agree with you that when you're going to play teams like this, you're going to need those kind of flexible players that can move around and do different things during the course of the game to help you try to win.
And one last question, Coach. I'm Brendan Gulick from Buckeyes Now.
Hey, Kerry.
Hi, Brendan.
Hey, Haskell made a comment to us that he has spent a lot of time this year on trying to learn more than just his job. He wants to know the coverages. He wants to know where certain guys are. He said it's helped him play more freely. That's a really mature thing to commit yourself to doing. How many other guys on your defense do you feel have made the decision to try and learn more than just their position, and has that made you better as a unit?
I think that some of them chose to do that. Guys like Haskell, Pete, got certain players, and then some of them have had to do it just because all of a sudden you show up at practice and there's 4 guys that aren't going to be able to be there. So now you got to go play this spot and you got to know it. And the young guys have really learned that, not necessarily because they want to, but because they have to. But I think the maturity of these kids that are looking forward to extending their career down the road. I remember having a conversation with Haskell about 3 deep coverage versus 2 deep coverage, and why do you play this one and why do you do that one? And he was really interested and how that might affect him on the defensive line. And I think you're right. It's a very mature way of looking at things. And I think the more guys on your defense that you have thinking along those lines, the better chance you have to have success.